Nothing changes. All I want is a moment to think clearly, but thoughts come unrelenting, consuming every waking moment. My mind binds me and I can't escape. I shout for help, but no one hears me. One day I feel I'll just disappear. Lost in this chaos, I'm searching for peace, but it's hard to find when my thoughts never cease. Everything I do is all consuming. My mind races, leaving me breathless and worn. I try to find solace, but it's fleeting, leaving me with nothing but the echoes of my screams. I shout for help, but no one hears me. One day I feel I'll just disappear. Lost in this chaos, I'm searching for peace, but it's hard to find when my thoughts never cease. Who am I to say I deserve peace? Maybe I'm better off just fading away.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Dirt Sheet Radio NXT post-show rewind for October the 29th, 2024. I am Tyler, the pro wrestling hipster. This here is Little Molly Holly, the long-haired chihuahua, and we are here to talk about NXT tonight. Playing us in, as has been going all week, is Lore of the Fighters, Doubt, Casket Creations over on YouTube, y'all. Go check it out. There is a lot of great music and content over there. God, I love this song. I no joke, I've listened to this probably like 50 times since Sunday night when I heard it for the first time. So yeah, it's awesome. So big shout out to Casket Creations for Lore of the Fighter. Now, thank you so much for this. And guys, thank you for tuning in live tonight to check us out and talk some NXT. Molly, don't yawn. That's rude. That's rude. But guys, before we can get into tonight's proceedings, I do have to give that ever important shout out to our partner on the web, comicbookclick.com. That is comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio for all of your pop culture, comic book, professional wrestling, entertainment needs, all in one convenient place. Check it out. Make it your homepage. Check it out multiple times a day, just like we do. Not because we're legally obligated, but because we love to do it. Well, happy birthday, metaphorically, Mac. Yes. Y'all sick of me yet? No? Good. That's fantastic, because I'm certainly not tired of doing this yet. So we are here to talk some NXT, guys. And hot off the heels of Halloween Havoc this Sunday night, and what a show that was, and what a show tonight was as well. Guys, we are going to get into it. They packed a good amount of stuff into 2 hours. Well-paced show, though. Well-paced show. It made a good use of all their time, and did a fair amount of hype leading towards next week's NXT in the ECW Arena in South Philadelphia. But guys, first thing I want to talk about tonight is, of course, the main event of this evening's program, and that was Fraxiom taking on Javon Evans and Cedric Alexander for the NXT Tag Team Championship. And this was a hell of a match. Blink and you miss about 5 or 6 moves in a row. The amount of speed in this match was just absolutely amazing. And, I really thought a big part of the story here was going to be if Axiom and Nathan Fraser could hold it together, and they did really well. They really didn't show a lot of cracks, which, once again, I have to give just a small critique on the storytelling on that, because they kind of just waffle back and forth week to week as to whether or not they're perfectly getting along or if they're about to, well, fracture. But they held it together really well. The issue arose when Wes Lee came down the ramp partway through the match, looking like Waldo. We found him. And this distraction took the young OG Javon Evans right up, and the two brawled to the backstage. Javon Evans leaving Cedric Alexander high and dry. Cedric still making a heck of a show of it. A couple convincing near falls, but hey, when it's all said and done, Nathan Fraser and Axiom, collectively known as Fraxiom, retain those tag team champions in just under 15 minutes. I think it was about 14:54. But fantastic match, great main event. And then the brawl backstage approached Ava and Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam, as the two were pulled apart, said this gives him a great idea as to what he wants to do next week in the ECW arena. And that's how NXT went off the air. So, not a real clear indication as to what Rob has in mind. I'm assuming it's not going to be a special guest referee type thing, because there's already a special guest referee on the card, as Dawn Marie will be the referee for Lola Vice and Jada Parker next week. So that's pretty cool too. I haven't seen Dawn Marie on TV in a while. But yes, it will. See, now what I'm thinking, Mac, I'm thinking they're going to go triple threat here. Or, it's ECW, so actual three-way dance, like legitimate three-way dance rules, elimination, which always just made a lot more sense to me anyway for a triple threat, but what are you going to do? That'd be pretty fantastic. And if they did have all three of them in there, Rob could, lean back a little bit and not have as much pressure on him. But hey, Rob can still get his spots in. Yes, he can still get his spots in. That DDP yoga ain't no joke. Right? And copious amounts of ganja. I was going to say allegedly, but it's Rob Van Dam. There's no allegedness about that, really. But yeah, fantastic main event. Awesome closing segment. There's a lot going into next week's show at the old ECW arena. But yeah, guys, I loved it. It was quick paced. Get a lot packed into these 2 hours. But we're going to go ahead and hop around to the top of the show here. So NXT came to us live this evening from the WWE Performance Center. A smattering of Halloween costumes in the audience tonight. There was a dude in a Pikachu onesie. Saw a few Mankinds. That's an easy costume to do. I know from experience. If I was just wearing like a flannel right now, take the glasses off, hardcore legend sitting in front of you, kind of, But the show opened and Vic introduced the show and threw to a quick recap of Halloween Havoc that was immediately interrupted by Tatum Paxley pushing a casket on wheels through the backstage area. And that is how we open tonight's NXT. Tatum Paxley making her way to the ring to take on Wendy Choo in the first ever women's casket match. Making history tonight on NXT, y'all. And Wendy Choo channeling her inner Sally tonight. I love that this was at the top of the show. One, because it was one of the matches I was really looking forward to, but also because the younger girls in the house got to see the Sally bit there, and that was fun. The wide appeal there. But fantastic match. I had a lot of fun with this one from start to finish. It was violent. It was zany. That poor dollhouse. Tatum got tossed into her dollhouse at one point. A bag of Legos was strewn across the ring. I gotta say, I've stepped on Legos, and I have stepped on thumbtacks. I think stepping on the Lego is worse. And I asked a friend of mine who's wrestled, and he told me that he's taken bumps on both Lego and thumbtacks. And I'm like, well, what was worse, man? Because to me it would be Lego, right? And he's like, well, I've never had to use pliers to pull Lego out of the bone. So yeah, I still think Legos would be pretty rough, though, guys. I don't want to take bumps on any of them, to be quite honest. But great match here, and the first ever women's casket match, history making in the books. Tatum Paxley putting Wendy Choo in the casket and slamming that lid shut. hopefully putting her sleepy nightmare demon to rest here and starting to move her way back up the card. Guys, Tatum Paxley, I think, is just an incredible talent. She's got a great gimmick. She understands her gimmick. She knows what her gimmick is. And I think she understands, kind of what her gimmick shouldn't be, which is good. She knows how to be kind of kooky, but still sinister at the same time, where it's like, well, she's crazy, but it's not like a fun cosmopolitan kind of crazy. It's like she might actually hurt you when you're not looking. But it's a great character, it's a great gimmick, and she is so good in the ring. So I hope that they really start to elevate her up the card. I don't know what the long-term plans right now. I know that Fallon Henley just got that North American Championship, but I wouldn't mind seeing Tatum Paxley get a rub with that at some point. But yeah, great opening match. Even though the Fraxiom match was as quick-paced and just high octane as it was, I think the casket match tonight might have been just personally my match of the night, but just fantastic. Loved every second of it. It was just over 10 minutes and 8 seconds, so a fair amount of time for that too. But yeah, if you didn't watch that tonight, just go back and check it out. It's history, guys. Come on. It's important, in 20 years, you're going to tell your grandkids or kids where, you were when Tatum Paxley and Wendy Choo had the casket match. Or maybe you won't. I don't know. All right. So moving on, we had Trick Williams making his way through the backstage area ahead of his in-ring segment. And as we came back from the break, Trick hit the ring. Crowd amped up. And of course, so was Booker T, because he always is. Trick is he gets such a reaction. That pop is just always big. And hey, I get it. The man's incredibly talented and incredibly charismatic. But he came out there and pretty quickly he said that, he wanted to thank somebody for helping him out last night. And that was one Bubba Ray Dudley. And he said he knew Bubba was there because Sean invited him. So he asked Bubba to come on out. And out came Bubba Ray Dudley in 2024 on NXT television. Twice in 1 week. But Bubba hit the ring and they jogged back and forth. He thanked Bubba for his assistance. And, Bubba, gave flowers to Trick. And, he explained to Trick why no one else is going to come out and help him Sunday night. And that's because Trick is the man. He is the champ. He's got a target on his back, so no one's going to be looking to help him out. And that's why Bubba had to help him. And also, Bubba apparently just has a hatred for Rich Holland. And I'm not a huge Bubba guy, but it's understandable. I get that completely, Rich Holland's is a despicable, dastardly, awful human being. So I understand that perspective, But Trick said that he was also out for some vengeance here, and he was looking for a tag match next week in the ECW arena, and he wanted Bubba Ray Dudley to be his partner. And Bubba got pretty juiced over this at first. He was jumping around. He pulled the glasses out, popped them back on, gave Trick the shove, said maybe he'll tell him to get the tables. But then he pulled back, became much more quiet and demure, and said that, there's a lot of talent in that locker room, and he can't take somebody's spot. So he has to say no to the offer of that tag match. And the crowd was deflated. It was a sad moment. And but that cut us from that sad moment quickly to the backstage area where Ava was watching on a monitor and Rob Van Dam was standing by. And she said, "Man, that would have been a pretty cool pairing to have had, but I guess not. But as we know, but Rob was standing in that same position every single time they showed him tonight. I almost felt like it was a cardboard cutout until he actually spoke. But gotta love Rob though. But as they were there chatting about that, Ava was approached by Kalani Jordan, and she said she wanted to get back at Fatal Influence, but she's not upset that she lost her night. It was fair and square, spin of the wheel, all that. So, which is, I don't know. I guess from a face's perspective, fair is fair, but it's still a really crappy situation. I think she would have been within her rights to be a little upset about it. You had to wrestle 3 people, and so she took it in stride, though. But in this, Nikita Lyons stepped in, and she talked down to Jordan. She said, "Look, you lost." And this ended up a little conflict between them, and they would wrestle a little bit later in the night. Nikita Lyons made her intention here to go after Fallon Henley's North American title. So we'll see how that works out for her. But, she ended up in a match with Kalani here tonight, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. From there, we went back to the backstage area where Shawn Spears is apparently healthy and out of a sling, and he was chatting there to his protege, Brooks Jensen. It's been a couple weeks. Since we've seen Brooks Jensen and Shawn Spears on NXT TV, so it's good to see him back, and they're continuing this angle. They approached Tony D'Angelo, and it looked like Spears had some sort of plan. He was, ready to hatch a scheme or something. But before he could really get anything out, Luca Crucifino burst in with Stacks, and they handed the cell phone off to the Don of NXT and said, "Hey, you got to listen to this voicemail." Voicemail. Good grief, guys. So, it's been 3 nights in a row. Voicemail. And an unknown voice was kind of running him down and berating him he's like, "Hey, you're going to be in South Philly next week, and you don't tell me, I done a phone call, nothing. This isn't how family operates." So, so I feel like we just made Tony D'Angelo related potentially to Nunzio? Is that what we're thinking? Big Vito? I mean, there's a couple options here. There is absolutely no doubt that Tony D'Angelo is, in fact, an authentically full-blooded Italian. So it would be pretty rad if they just, canonically made him related to Nunzio. So I'm not 100% who we're talking about. I'm hoping Nunzio. I love me some Nunzio. But so very excited for that. Also, right before they burst into the room, Adriana Rizzo burst out saying that she had some business to take care of. So that as well. But kind of put the horse before the cart there. Sorry, guys. From there, we went into one of our build matches this evening, the Heritage Cup match between Lexis King with Mr. William Regal in his corner, taking on the son of Regal, Charlie Dempsey, of course, with the No Quarter Catch crew in his. Now, of course, part of the story here being that Lexis King having a change of heart, not wanting to do evil things any longer. He's a reformed evil person. And the match was pretty solid. King's doing all right. I'm not really 100% how I feel about this change of character. At least it's something different. But he's still, I don't know. I feel like I'm not an athlete. I'm not a professional wrestler. So please, when I say this, take that into consideration. He moves about half a step slower than I feel like he should for the moves he's doing. That's it. Otherwise, it's all right. Character's coming along. Yeah, it's all right otherwise. But, this is a rare instance where a Heritage Cup match ended 2-0. It's really rare that they have to do that. That is the way these can end. If it goes 2-0 in the first 3 rounds, that is it. And it doesn't happen a whole lot, which, I guess it's kind of like a 2 out of 3 falls match ending that quickly. But, yeah, so Lexis King could not get it done. The aggregate match time was about 8 minutes. Lexis King could have potentially won this match. See, in the 3rd round, because that first round Dempsey won, 2nd round there was no winner. 3rd round, William Regal, from his pocket, pulled the brass knuckles and slid them to Lexis King, willing to let Lexis King use these on his own flesh and blood. Okay? And Lexis King refused to use the brass knuckles, declaring proudly and loudly, "I am not my father," which I really don't know what that has to do with brass knuckles. It's not like he handed him a pencil to stab him with or something. But it didn't work out for Lexis King, as he immediately lost the match 2-0 and, is not the Heritage Cup champion. And Charlie Dempsey and his wicked mutton chops and mustache continue their reign of terror through NXT. Solid, though. Solid match. All right, guys. Into the 2nd hour, we had Lola Vice. I think it was like the progressive NXT spotlight of the night type deal. Lola Vice cutting a promo on Jada Parker, said that she is entering her domain Next week, Don Marie is going to be the special guest referee in the ECW arena for their hardcore match. I am really, really looking forward to this one. It's going to be a blast. Like, Jada has already kind of shown a penchant for this style of match, and Lola Vice is pretty hard-hitting and violent, so this is going to be a fun one, guys. I don't know how comfortable the CW would be with some blood, but it would be just wildly appropriate here. But really, really looking forward to that one. But from that promo, we went into our next match. Zaria, formerly Delta, making her NXT in-ring debut against the Lamb to the Slaughter, Brindley Reese. Oh, poor Brindley Reese. Positivity and cartwheels weren't going to keep you from getting an ass kicking tonight. Yeah, Zaria picks up the win here in 2 minutes and 49 seconds. I'm going to be honest, I actually think Brindley Reese got too much offense in this match. And I like Brindley. But Zaria just should have completely run her over. But it was a solid showing here. They let Zaria show a little bit of what she's capable of. Just a taste there. I think next week's showcase is going to give a lot more shine to, well, a lot of folks, because right after that match, Fatal Influence walked through the crowd, mic in hand, and before Fallon could get too many words out, Cora Jade and NXT Women's Champion Roxanne Perez walked out, and the 5 women surrounded the ring. But it wasn't too long before Zaria had some backup in the way of Giulia, Stephanie Vaquer, Kalani Jordan, and the returning to NXT, Jordan Grace. Huge brawl ensued here. The faces ended up standing tall, and we found out shortly thereafter that they just lawn darted your NXT Women's Champion, Roxanne Perez. This is not what Tuesday Night Roxy had in mind for tonight. But in short order there, they understandably quickly announced that next week there will be a 10-woman tag in the ECW arena. And that's going to be a fun exhibition, guys. There's going to be just a lot of action, a lot going on. Really, I say this a lot. I'm really looking forward to it. I love NXT. It's really difficult for me to not be excited about this week in and week out. But that's going to be a fun one for sure. All right. From that brawl, we went to the next match on the card. We had Kalani Jordan taking on Nikita Lyons. This one, I made this joke, and this is kind of in the vein of if you know, you know. But I feel like Nikita Lyons went to management tonight and said, you know what? I'm going to dress as pirates for the NXT Halloween show. And they said, don't you mean a pirate? And she said, no, I don't. So, yeah. Facts are facts, y'all. But Kalani Jordan picks up the win in 4 minutes and 2 seconds after a bit of a distraction from Miss Adriana Rizzo as she walked out the entranceway and motioned at Nikita Lyons, took off her earrings, and walked towards the ring. After Nikita took the loss, she and Rizzo brawled to the back. And as I said, the assumption here being that Nikita Lyons was the perpetrator and attacker of Adriana Rizzo last week on NXT television. So I'm sure that we will be getting a Adriana Rizzo Nikita Lyons match here pretty soon. Not really sure what the plan there is with that, but let's see what they do. I don't know. I would prefer to see Adriana Rizzo win that match if they're going to do that. I've really enjoyed what they've done with Rizzo lately. I think she's got a lot of raw talent, and I don't know, but Nikita just came back from injury, so I don't know if they're going to really look to, kind of define her down that quickly. But, time will tell, and I'm sure we'll know soon enough on that. But all right, so from that scuffle into the backstage area, we showed Ethan Page walking through the hall towards the ring, and he made his way to the ring, and he said that he is not finished with the NXT Championship. before he could really, state too much more there, he was interrupted by that dastardly, foul, evil, awful, garbage human being, Ridge Holland. And Ridge Holland said that, he was sick of Ethan Page. Everybody's sick of Ethan Page. And he's just gotten shot after shot. And he thinks that he should be the next challenger. He was interrupted by Bubba Ray Dudley, who's still pretty miffed about Ridge Holland talking him down at the PLE Sunday more than once. And he gets out there and he gets in his face. He walks around. But Ridge isn't really fazed by this. He's like, yeah, he's like, you got a radio show. And it's a popular radio show. I'll give you that. But you're not an in-ring competitor. You're a radio host. You're, kind of heading with the past your prime. You're old. You're not going to get in the ring. You're not going to do it. You're old. You're not going to touch me. You're not going to touch me until, he popped him in the jaw. As Mike Tyson once said, everyone's got a plan until you get hit in the face. But Ethan Page immediately jumping in there for his, I guess, pseudo friend here, temporary alliance, whatever it is, and they start wailing on the man from Dudleyville until he is saved by one Trick Williams. And Bubba, all jazzed up from this confrontation, grabs the mic and asks Trick if he still wants that tag match next week. Bada bing, bada boom, it's on, guys. Next week it's going to be Trick Williams and Bubba Ray Dudley taking on Ridge Holland and all ego Ethan Page. Mac, I'm sorry. I should have told you. It is good. NXT's actually I know. I can't force him out. I have no way. Mac, does it irritate you as much as it does me at the in overwhelmingly positive reaction Bubba Ray gets from the audience all the time? So, But NXT actually has been popping out some pretty decent theme songs lately. I've been saying about Fatal Influence for the last few weeks. Really, really like that one. I'm a big fan of Ethan Page's theme. So there's a few that are starting to get better down there. So I don't know what's going on, but improvement is happening. So cool segment. This is a fun good thing we can see here on NXT television. The 5 women baby faces from the confrontation. So Stephanie Vaquer, Giulia, Jordan Grace, Kalani Jordan, and I must call her Delta there again, Zaria, all chatting about the match coming up next week. And they were approached by Rhea Ripley, who was basically telling them to kick some ass next week, and just shared a brief on-screen moment with her countrywoman, Zaria. So I like that quick little pop, and it was fun to see Rhea Ripley show up on NXT television, and I'm like, oh cool, that's cool. Just odd that they just had her pop in for one little segment, but that wasn't all she was popping in for tonight. So, and we'll talk about that in just a couple minutes here. But from there, we had a pre-taped promo that was Jada Parker rebutting what Lola Vice said, and she told her that their idea of No Holds Barred is a little bit different. She's got her mind on some very big, dangerous things. She can bring all the MMA she wants, but she's got any weapon at her disposal. So again, guys, I'm really, really excited for this. 2 good promo segments, hyping this match. Great work all around. I say it a lot. If you're not watching NXT, I don't understand why. But clearly, if you're watching this, you are watching NXT. So. These pre-tape segments are really, really good. Jada Parker is just fantastic. I say it week after week, but the NXT women's division is, in my opinion, pound for pound, woman for woman, the best women's division in professional wrestling. It's just week after week. It's fantastic. It gets better and better. It gets more complex, more stories to tell. It's just, I don't know. I'm really hoping that at some point in the future we get an all women's PLE, or at the very least an all women's episode of NXT. But I'd much rather be a PLE. But just those 5-6 dedicated match cards to it. They could do it, and it would be absolutely incredible. But moving on through the show, they announced that Trick and Bubba taking on Ridge and Ethan Page was official for next week. And they quickly introduced Fraxiom there ahead of the main event. But before the main event, which I discussed at the top of tonight's show, we were in the back where Stevie Turner and Rob Stone were talking to Ava and reminding everyone that next week NXT was going to be on Wednesday. And that's a good point here to remind all of you watching tonight that NXT will be on Wednesday next week, not Tuesday night. Tuesday here in the United States is our presidential election. And the CW, which NXT airs on pretty much every station in the U.S., is a over-the-air network. So they're going to be covering the presidential election all night and all evening. So it will be Wednesday, November 6th on the CW network, the NXT at the ECW Arena Show, South Philadelphia. It's going to be awesome, guys. But remember, if you tune into the CW Tuesday night, you're going to hear politics, and not like the backstage politics that you want to hear about, the like legitimate kind. But while they were having this discussion, there was a scuffle out in the world's most dangerous place, the NXT parking lot, and we saw Rhea bloodied Ripley attacked by Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. And so there is some blood there on NXT television, not just on her face, it actually dripped onto the pavement. So the implication of violence, very severe and very deep. Mac, I saw that come up. If I read that precisely, you're right. They really did miss they missed a chance there to call this November to Remember. They really, really did. I don't know why. Maybe they were afraid to go with the rhyme because of the December to Dismember situation from the early 2000s there that was awful. But yeah, November to Remember. I mean, that was it. Like that was right there. I don't know. Missed opportunity. Massively missed opportunity. But yeah, a lot of blood on the pavement. Rhea Ripley beat to a pulp out there. And again, just for posterity and the verbal record, my apologies, guys. Quick little blip on the over-the-air antenna. All I saw was Rhea Ripley down on the ground. So when I made that post about an unknown assailant and very quickly got smoked by all y'all in the comments telling me who attacked them. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate being corrected that quickly. It happens, guys. So, there's a lot going on during these shows. An over-the-air antenna here in parts unknown Ohio can be a little bit unpredictable. So, my apologies on that. But again, thank y'all for letting me know that it was in. But nonetheless, a fantastic segment. And that leads us back in to the main event, which I discussed at the top of the show. So that's NXT there in a nutshell. But y'all, before I get into the jobbers and megastars of the night for tonight, I have to give a shout out to one of our sponsors out there, Monk.com. Monk.com for all of your aromatherapy needs. You can get your aromatherapy diffusers. DSR10 will get you 10% off that. And also, if you are over at comicbookclick.com/dirtsheetradio, you can take advantage of our NordVPN offer, where if you sign up for 1 full year of NordVPN service, you will get 72% off that first month. Huge savings, astronomical, fantastic. But you know what else is fantastic? The NXT Jobber of the Night for October the 29th, 2024. This was a tough one. This was a tough one for me. I don't really have a legitimate jobber. I don't have a complaint here about this show at all. This was a wonderful episode of NXT, in my opinion. I think from start to finish, it was booked well, paced well, no wasted time. It had a great flow. Nothing felt rushed. Nothing felt jammed in there. Nothing felt longer than it should have been. I feel like it's hard to book a nearly perfect 2-hour episodic television of wrestling. But to me, this was just about it, guys. Start to finish, loved it. So I don't really have a jobber, but I'll go kayfabe with it. What the hell, Javon Evans? I know you're mad at Wesley. I understand you got some beef going with him, but you have a tag team championship opportunity. Do you realize how young you are in your career? How many title shots you've already been granted? Holy hell, dude. They're not going to keep falling out like, bells from a tree in Animal Crossing, all right? Start to appreciate these things. You're in a match with your mentor, Cedric Alexander, and you just leave? over some trivial beef with Wes Lee looking like where's fucking Waldo? Come on. Do better, young OG. Bounce yourself to an apology to Cedric Alexander. That's what you need to be doing. Young man. I feel old though, legit. The dude's like 20 years younger than me. But yeah, so for that, in a kayfabe way, the young OG, Javon Evans, is my jobber of the night. But from there, we're going to hop into the NXT Megastar of the night, again for October 29th, 2024. And guys, this one's I've got a couple here, and I apologize. I have a very difficult time often narrowing it down to one megastar. Again, just because there's so much great content, and I enjoy so much of it, and that's not a problem, really. But so first and foremost, I have to give it to Tatum Paxley for one, a fantastically fun opening match, making history here tonight, winning the first ever women's casket match in WWE history, going down into the annals of history there for that. And also just because, again, like I said earlier tonight, just an incredibly gifted talent, just has honed this kooky, spooky character so well. It can work heel, it can work face. And I wonder how much more time she has at NXT. I want her to do more down there. There's several things I'd like to see her do before moving to the main roster, but they've had her run this character both heel and face. And once they hit that point, that's sometimes an indication that they're thinking about that upward move, but I'd like to see him take a little bit longer for that. But yeah, so firstly to Tatum Paxley for that. And also to Fraxiom, because just holy hell. They keep teasing that breakup and that split with them. And as much as I want to see a series of matches between Nathan Frazer and Axiom, I don't want them to not be a tag team. They were kind of thrown together through the Dusty Classic for this, and it just works. I'm someone that typically complains about tag teams just thrown together. I believe in tag teams. I believe in having legitimate tag teams that are career-long tag teams. But man, they have gelled so well. It's just, again, the blink and you miss it, high-octane action that they bring to NXT week after week. I don't want to see them break up, and I'd like to see them keep running with those belts. And yeah, but also on my Megastars tonight. And lastly, guys, again, sorry, let's keep going. Zaria for a impactful debut. And I looked into, I was curious about the whole Delta thing. I guess it was just they were afraid of not being able to copyright everything across, or trademark everything across the board, because Delta is used in so many different ways in so many different industries. Personally, I'm blaming the airline. That's just me. So Zaria for her in-ring debut. Hell of an NXT tonight, guys. I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys had a lot of fun with it as well. But before I kind of get into the closing bits here tonight, I want to firstly thank every single one of you that is, again, tuning in live to just sit here and listen to me chatter on about NXT wrestling. So I appreciate that with my my whole hardcore heart here. But also, I want to let you know that Dirt Sheet Radio isn't just about NXT. It if you've just seen me the last couple of days, as one, you saw me on Raw last night, but we're not just here to talk about this. NXT is always on because wrestling never stops. So we are here also Monday nights for Raw every single week. We are here Tuesday nights for NXT, Wednesday nights for AEW Dynamite, Thursdays for TNA Impact, and of course Fridays for SmackDown. And y'all, Wednesdays, if you're up really, really late, make sure you check out the Dirt Sheet Radio flagship podcast late into the night. If you're like me, just listen to it Thursday mornings. It's posted there waiting for you with your coffee and your commute to work. Just do it that way. And guys, on Sundays, hopefully coming back soon, CJ and I are getting our act together to bring you CJ and Tyler's Wrestling Weekend Roundup with a W. October's been wild, y'all, and life be life, and we'll be back soon. But consistently on Sundays, we've got the guys over at 3NT bringing you amazing content and podcasts week after week with that crisp graphic. So be sure to check them out every single Sunday. And guys, I'm Tyler. I'm the pro wrestling hipster, waking up the Chihuahua back over here. This is little Molly Holly. Please give me a follow over on Facebook, The Pro Wrestling Hipster. I share memes. I make people mad sometimes. but follow me only after you've gone and followed Dirt Sheet Radio on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the socials. I'm at PW Hipster on those, by the way. And hey, YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. I know it's aggravating as hell to hear that all the time, but it really does help us out a lot. It means a lot. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow night live for AEW Dynamite. Have a wonderful night, everybody.
Maybe I'm better off just fading away. It's what I'm used to, this isolation, but deep down I long for connection.